Guys, how is everybody doing? So, continuing on my Planet of the Apes review series, welcome to the final chapter of the original Planet of the Apes. With the original, I almost said, with Battle of the Planet of the Apes, which is the final original Planet of the Apes so far. Hey, maybe we'll get a legacy sequel one day. Fucking doubt it. Running up with my positives on Battle for the Planet of the Apes is I do like how slowly throughout this movie we see the humans become the slaves and become like the pets that we know them as in the original two films of this franchise to where they're not fully slaves, that they're just kept captive and they just have to live under certain rules. And some apes would prefer if they were slaves, but they're not complete slaves to where they're like teaching apes, like saying like ape should not kill ape basically, and just other things here and there to where they're not complete slaves. They do like errands, they bring food around here, they build a few things around their area throughout the entire area throughout this movie where it mostly takes place in the woods. I thought that was really cool, and where they were giving hints that they were slowly becoming slaves, but at the same time that they have their own free will. They just have to do a few certain things and under the control of the apes because how badly they treated the apes. But Caesar, who is the leader, believes that there's still some good in the humans, so he decides not to keep them as slaves and more as just human beings, but just do a few errands for them and just live under their rules, kinda, to where they're not being beaten or being captured or anything. To where I really like that, and it was a really cool callback to the original and possibly setting up that, which kind of felt like, but they never really went that way. But I thought it was a nice nod to the original film, and if and ending off this original franchise, I thought it was pretty cool to see that humans become the slaves that we know them as. This is just something that I noticed when I was watching the movie, and I thought it was a really cool callback to the original, like I said, or like I just said. I thought it was a really cool callback to the original when Caesar named his son Cornelius, of course, named after his father Cornelius, which is played by the same actor, by Rowdy McDowell, who played Cornelius and Caesar. And I thought that was really sweet that he named his son after his father, who he never met. And if it weren't for his father, he wouldn't be the ruler that he is, or be in the place that he is right now, where he is right now in this film, if it wasn't for his father. And I thought that was really sweet and really cool, and a great callback to the original, and a great callback to that character from this franchise. Again, it's a small positive, but it was a really nice. It was really nice to see that, and someone who does like that original movie and who does like that character of Cornelius, I thought it was cool to see him being named that. But it's a shame that he gets killed in the movie. I don't really want to compare this too much to the Planet of the Apes trilogy that we have with the new Caesar and all that. I don't want to compare it to it that much, but one thing that I do like about this movie is that the gorillas of this movie despise humans. They hate them, they do not like them, but every other ape in this community, they don't mind them, and they're okay the way that they are, but the gorillas believe that they should be locked up and become slaves because the gorillas just despise them and they want to kill them all. They want to go to war with them. What that reminds me of is a lot of Koba from the Planet of the Apes trilogy that we got, which is a great villain, and I'll talk about him when I get to Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I really love that character, and the entire time I was watching that, I couldn't help but think of that throughout this entire runtime. And now I'll get to the villain of the gorilla later on, but I really like that throughout the movie to where it was the gorillas that hate them, and the big strong ones are basically the ones that hate the humans. And it just reminded me so much of Koba to where they wanted to go to war with the humans. They wanted to start mayhem. They wanted to kill each other, but all the other apes were like, "No, that's not what we need. We don't need this." Like, I like that. That was a really cool thing in this movie, and it was kind of, I don't want to say social commentary, but I just really like that throughout the entire movie, to where all the apes are slowly disagreeing with each other, and that maybe Caesar isn't a great villain, but hey, I really enjoyed it. It was really cool, and it was one of my favorite parts of this film. For my final positive, still talking about the battle. I do think the end battle of this film is really great. I do love the action there. It's and the final few moments of the movie, that's all it really is, and I really do enjoy it, where the gorillas and the humans and the apes are all going against these humans that are apparently from the future, from events from beneath the Planet of the Apes, which I really enjoyed that throughout the movie. the battle itself, if you're gonna title this Battle of the Planet of the Apes and have this be the final original Planet of the Apes movie, I thought it was a really good way to go out with that. I really enjoyed that. The battle of itself, it was great. There's nothing else to really be to say about that. God, I can't speak. But yeah, I thought that was cool in battle itself. What else do you want from me? It was cool. Moving on to my negatives, and I only have two, and they're not very big issues. One thing I was really disappointed by is that this movie doesn't have the dark tone of Conquest, because I really, really loved that dark tone of Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. I felt like it was the right direction to go for this franchise, and great direction to move forward with it. Like the way Conquest ends leading up to this movie, I was really hoping it had that dark tone, especially with this titled Battle of the Planet of the Apes. You would think they would go with that tone. They would go with that tone, and you think they would continue that from Conquest, but for no reason or unlikely reason, they just don't, and it's a bit upsetting because I thought that was a great way to go from there. I thought it was a really good addition to the franchise. I really like what they were doing with that. Maybe that won't work for everybody, did it? But definitely worked for me. That was one of my favorite parts of Conquest, probably my favorite part in general. But yeah, it's unfortunate that the dark tone of Conquest isn't in this movie because you think again, I don't want to sound like broken record, but that just seems like the good place to go. And if this is gonna be the final one, and you're gonna have this be a battle with the apes and the humans, you think they would go with a dark tone into where it would be like really bloody in a way. I don't want it to be too bloody because kids at the time were probably watching Planet of the Apes, which they still do today. I assume they didn't do that because at the time when this movie came out, maybe it didn't suit well for a lot of audiences because a lot of kids were watching it at the time. I really have no idea. I didn't watch this movie when it first came out, so I don't know the reason why, but it's upsetting because I really loved that dark tone and I was really liking what they were doing with it. I was praising earlier about how the gorillas don't like humans and the other apes don't. I really like that, but what keeps me from absolutely adoring it and maybe putting it above loving it, I did not care for the main gorilla villain, who's kind of like the main focus and the main villain of this movie, who ends up killing Cornelius. I don't really like that character, and I don't really like that villain. I just feel he's not portrayed very well. I don't feel that the actor who plays him, I forget the gorilla's name. I just feel that he just didn't give the performance needed for that character, and he wasn't a very well written character, and they don't give him much motivation other than I hate humans. Like they just don't give him more motivation for that. I feel I would have loved that character more and that villain more if they did something more with that. I forget the guy's name. And if you have him kill Cornelius, I feel you need to make him a more threatening villain. But what they do with him, I just don't care for it. Well, guys, Battle of the Planet of the Apes, it's a solid follow-up to Conquest Planet of the Apes. I think the reason I just don't care for this movie a lot because I had a lot of expectations walking in after watching Conquest, and especially the way that movie ends, I was really excited to see where this would go. Now, if this is the final Planet of the Apes from the original franchise, and I'm okay with that. It's a satisfying ending enough. It leaves on a good note with Caesar's story being ended and all that, and with the war being over, and humans and apes and coming together and having a happy ending together. It's a good ending for sure, and I do wish they could have just done more with it, I feel. But all in all, Battle of Planet of the Apes, it's a good movie. I really enjoyed it. It was a solid follow up to Conquest, although I wish it was just a bit better. But I really enjoyed it. It was a good movie. I feel. What do you guys think about Battle of the Planet of the Apes? Have you seen it? What do you think about it? Do you prefer it over Conquest? Do you not prefer it over Conquest? Do you think this is the worst of the franchise? Do you think it's a good movie or a bad movie? Let me know in the comments below, and we shall talk about it. If you like this video, like it, and if you loved it, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you will get notified for all of my latest videos, and also my upcoming Planet of the Apes review series, which I have about 3 more or 4 more left, but I could be off. I probably am off. But thank you all so much for watching. As always, I will see you all in the next video.